Shalom, Israel. It is the Israelites, not the Equalites. If we keep God's commandments, we are above all people on the face of the earth. Sorry, we haven't been with you for the last week. We apologize for that. We're asking everyone to please forgive us. And today's lesson is entitled, God's Will, Not Your Free Will. Because for so long, people have been saying that, well, it's whatever the will is. The only thing that you have free will is a free will offering. But as far as having your own will to do whatever it is you want to, you are not powerful than Yahweh. And so it is his will and not your will. And so we're going to get into some scriptures today to prove that and to give you some more clarity on what it is pertaining to God's will and free will. We have with us this evening our sister Hanaya.
Shalom, Israel.
As well as our brother Yoram, the king.
Shalom as well.
And I am the prophet Shem. Like I say, once again, we apologize for not having class this week. We're going to slow the classes up. We're going to be coming to you on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock. We'll be doing something else on Fridays, but eventually we're going to get back to doing them on Friday again. But for the near future, we'll be doing them on Wednesday nights. And of course, we'll be going out for Shabbat on Saturday. So we are the Israelites, and we are here to get our lesson going today. And we're going to have our brother, Yoram. He's going to lead us off today. And let's go, brother.
Isaiah chapter 52 and verse 7. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good tidings.
Wait a minute. The one that does what, brother?
How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good tidings.
Read.
That publisheth peace, that bringeth good tidings.
You see, people always holler about when you want to hear the good news, you got to go to the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and all that. No, the good news is right here in the book of Isaiah, chapter 52 and verse 7. You can get the good news there because read on, my brother.
Of God, of good, that publisheth salvation.
See, salvation is the good news. Why is salvation the good news? Because salvation is of the Jews. Am I right?
That's right.
Salvation is of the Jews. So that is the good news right there in itself. Read, brother.
That saith unto Zion,
Thy
God reigneth.
God reigneth. Not your decision, not what it is that you think you want to do, but God reigneth. He has the last say. Out of whatever it is anyone has to say, he has the last say. So your will ain't don't amount to a hill of beans. Like I say, the only thing that you have a free will, is a free will offering. But as far as what God's will is, you don't have no control of what God wants you to do. If God wants you to do, he can just make you do it. You see? But he want to give you an opportunity not to be disobedient and hard-headed and stiff-necked and to obey him. It's about time we start hearing his voice and stop hearing others' voice or hearing our subconscious mind telling us something. We need to take heed to what the Bible is saying and hear his word, and we'll be all right. Read what you have, sister.
Romans chapter 9, verse 19.
Read.
Thou wilt say unto me, why doeth he yet find fault?
Why does he yet find fault? Read, sister.
For who hath resisted his will?
Who can resist his will? No one can resist his will. You can say whatever you want to say. You can believe what you want to believe. But if God put it in you, you cannot resist his will. Don't you think that you can? Because then you'll be trying to call yourself the Most High. And you cannot resist God's will. If he put it in you, you're going to do it. You won't have no choice to say yes or to say no. But you do have a choice now to choose life or to choose death, like the book of Jeremiah chapter 83 said. And death shall be chosen rather than life. So if you don't choose God's will, you only have one other choice, and that's death, Israel. Read.
John chapter 15, verse 16.
Read.
Ye have not chosen me.
Wait a minute. What did the Bible just say, brother?
Ye have not chosen me.
You didn't choose me. Read.
But I have chosen you.
But I have chosen you. You didn't choose me. I chose you. And you better be glad that I chose you, because I could have chose somebody else. Read.
And ordained you that ye shall go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit shall remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it you.
See, you got to bring forth them good fruits. What are those good fruits? The law of statutes and commandments. Because it tells you in the book of 1 John 3 and 22 that, if you want to get your prayers answered, you got to do what? You got to keep the commandments. Read that again, brother.
Verse 16. Ye have not chosen me.
I chose you. You didn't choose nothing. I chose you. You didn't choose me. Because if you would have had any sense, you wouldn't have chosen. You'd have went on and chose your own wicked ways, or that devilish demon white man. Read.
But I have chosen you. And ordained you.
Read.
That ye shall go and bring forth fruit.
Bring forth fruits. Read. Good fruits. Read.
And that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it you.
See, your fruits got to line up with what his requirements are. That's what your fruits got to do. If your fruits don't line up into what he requires of you, then your fruits are what? Is not going to merit you anything. But if your fruits line up with what he requires of you, keeping those laws, keeping the statutes and commandments, then he's going to what? He's going to answer your prayer. He's going to give you what you ask for. He's going to give you the desires of your heart. That is your mind. Because your mind is what? It's supposed to continue to be stayed on him. And if you're doing the law, statutes, and commandments, those are the good fruits that Yahweh and his son Yahweh is talking about. It's not talking about anything else. It's talking about doing his will. Because in the book of Psalms, chapter 40 and verse 8, it says, I desire to do thy will. Thy law is thy will. See, his laws are the will of man. Just like it tells us in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12 and verse 13. It say, hear the whole matter, hear everything out of everything that is said and done. It say, fear God and keep his commandments. That's his will. And so we can't be saying that, oh, it's about me. It's about what God says and nobody else. Read.
John chapter 6, verse 44.
Read, sister.
No man can come to me except the Father.
Wait a minute. What did the Bible just say, sister?
No man can come to me.
No man can come to me.
Except the Father.
Except the Father.
Which hath sent me.
He the one that sent me. The Father sent me.
Draw him, and I will raise him up at this last day.
See, he's doing what the Father said. Yahweh Shah, the Father sent him to raise up men at the last day. That's what he's come to do.
That's right.
He's doing God's will. He's not being contrary to what it is that he's been told to do. He's doing the will of God. And that's what causes us to continue to be in the situation that we're in today. We're not doing God's will. We have tried everything that it is to try. We tried Buddhism. We tried Islam. We tried 5%. We tried Catholicism. We tried Egyptology. We tried everything. Well, what about trying to keep the law, statutes, and commandments? It appears and it seems to me that after trying everything man-made, why don't you try some of God? Keep the commandments. Read.
Matthew chapter 26 and verse 39.
Read, brother.
And he went a little farther.
Read, brother.
And he went a little farther. And fell on his face.
And fell on his face.
And prayed, saying, "O my Father."
Oh my who?
"O my Father."
See, this is Yahweh saying, "Oh my Father." He's coming to ask a question. Read.
"If it be possible,
Uh-huh.
let this cup pass from me.
Read.
Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thy wilt."
You see, his will was what? That the cup be passed from him. Yep. You see what I'm saying? But he remembered why he came. He remembered why he was sent. He came what? To do the will of the Father. And that's why he said, nevertheless, not as I will, but as thy will. Not as my will, God, but your will. See, your will be done. You see, he obeyed. He kept the commandments. He did what it is that was required of him. That's why God gave him all power. That's why God trusted him with a particular people. You see? God's will. Not Yahweh's will, not your will, not the white man's will, but God's will, Yahweh, the Most High. That's whose will that it is. That's right. Not nobody else's. Read.
1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 28.
Read, sister.
And when all things shall be subdued.
Wait a minute. When what happens, sister?
And when all things shall be subdued.
When all things shall be subdued.
Unto him.
Then
shall the Son also himself be subject unto him that put all things under him, that God may be all in one.
See?
So like God, all in all.
God. See what I'm saying? Read that one more time for me, sister.
1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 28.
And
when all things shall be subdued.
And when all things shall be subdued.
Unto him.
Then
shall the Son also himself be subject unto him.
Be subject unto Yahweh.
That put all things under him.
That gave him all power over all things.
That God may be all in all.
That God may be exalted on high. Not him. See, because he said, not my will, but my Father who sent me, his will. That's why Yahweh has to be exalted over all things, because it is his will and no one else's. We have to start to understand it. Oh, I do what I want to do. Oh, it's my will. Oh, God, give me free will. I keep telling you, the only thing you got free will on is a free will offering. But anything else, God is always in control. God is always in control. Not you. You ain't nobody. I'm not nobody. None of us up here is anybody. But it is God who is what is supposed to be praised, who is supposed to get all honor, who is above all and everything that it exists, and nothing else. He is the common denominator. Alpha Omega, beginning and the end, first and the last. After him, there is no other. Only him. His will is the only will that counts. Read.
1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 23.
Read, brother.
And ye are Mamakia,
Uh-huh.
and Mamakia is Yahweh.
Wait a minute. You are what, brother?
1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 23.
Read.
And ye are Mamakia,
And ye are Hamakiah,
and Mamakia is Yahweh.
and Hamakiah is Yahweh. See? And ye are Christ. You belong to Christ, right? See? And ye are Christ. And Christ is God. It's just like it tells us in the book of what? Corinthians chapter 11, starting at verse 1 through 4. There is a pecking order. And ye are Christ. We are up under the governorship of Yahweh, of Makiyah. And Christ is God. Christ, Yahweh, he's up under the authority of Yahweh. Let's get that, sister, in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 11, and let's start at verse 3.
1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3.
Uh-huh.
But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
You see, the head of every man is Hamakiyah. Read.
And the head of the woman is the man.
Read, sister.
And the head of Christ is God.
And the head of Hamakiyah is Yahweh. You see, there is an order. And just like when he come and bring New Jerusalem, there is going to be order in the kingdom. There's not going to be anybody thinking that they're going to be in the kingdom out of order, because Yahweh is in order, his son is in order, and we're going to have to be in order if we're going to be able to get the kingdom. Am I right, brothers and sisters?
That's right.
You don't have to be able to be in order. You're not going to be out of order thinking that you're going to be able to get this kingdom. You're not going to be able to be no homosexual, no lesbian, or no robber, or no thief, or no murderer, or none of these things. Covetousness. None of those things you're not going to be able to get to the kingdom. There will be order in the kingdom. There is no 50-50. Ain't no such thing as a man and a woman being 50-50. That woman is going to learn how to start to doing what it is that she's supposed to do, teaching the young women how to be good wives to their husbands, teaching the young men how to be good husbands to their wife, and etc., as far as the children as well. Not to be getting up in no pulpit thinking that you're supposed to be absorbing some kind of authority over the man. That's not order. That's totally out of order. Just like you women are when you wearing those pants and not wearing those fringes. Just like you men are when you're not wearing what? Those pants, and you putting on those dresses. Tyler Perry, Martin Lawrence, Kevin Hart, and all the rest of you sellouts. There will be order in the kingdom. Next.
Romans chapter 14, verse 8.
Read, sister.
For whether we live unto the Lord.
Wait a minute. Read that again, sister.
Romans chapter 14, verse 8.
Uh-huh.
For whether we live
we live
unto the Lord.
We live unto the Lord because his will. We're not living to ourselves. It said wherever we live unto the Lord. Read.
And whether we die.
And whether we die.
We die unto the Lord.
We go back to him. Read.
Whether we live, therefore, or die, we are the Lord's.
We go back to him. He's always in charge. He's always in authority over us. There is no time that he is not in authority over us. He's always in authority over us. Get it together. You're an Israelite. You're not an Equalite. That's why God is telling you to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments so he can work in your life. He can't work in your life if you're not doing what it is that he requires of you. That make him being down on the cross for nothing. Because he died on the cross for the Israelites' sin. Not everyone, the Israelites' sin. Because we were the ones up under the law that were what? Committing all these different sins and everything. And he died for our sins. Because no one else was in sin. In order to be able to be in sin, you got to have some laws that govern you. And no one else had any laws to govern them but the Israelites. That's why we were in sin. That's why we paying such a high price for the things that we do. We get punished. Do you see them getting punished? No. We get punished because what? We are up under the law. The law, statutes, and commandments, that is a part of that grace. See? Stop believing what them people tell you in them churches. Better come out of them churches. I be telling you all the time to come out of them churches, but you still want to be in them churches. And that's going to be the death of you. Going to be the lake of fire. So I'm pleading and begging with you. Come out of those churches and start doing what you're supposed to do for Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shah. Because he was sent to us to redeem us, to reclaim us, so that through him we might be able to have a relationship with Yahweh. Am I right?
That's right.
We're not going to be able to have a relationship without skipping over Yahweh Shah. You got to go to him first. You ain't going from the first grade to the 12th grade. You got to go through the second, third on up. It's an order. Everything is in order. To see our God, Yahweh, you got to go through his son first. That is the order. Get it together, Israelites. The time is near when you're going to have to make this damn decision. You got to make it right now. You got to make it yesterday, because you don't know what day or hour. Not even Yahweh Shah. He don't know. Only the Father knows when he's going to come back. That's why we need to practice the righteous acts that it tells us in Judges chapter 5 and 11. There's no such thing as being able to live in sin, and when you're on your dying bed getting ready to go to your death, that you can just up and say, oh God, forgive me. No, you got some things that you have to do. You got to practice the righteous acts. What are the righteous acts? The laws, the statutes, and the commandments. Those are the righteous acts. See? Because you don't know when he's coming, but you want to be ready when he comes.
That's right.
Read.
Psalms chapter 68, verse 6.
Read, brother.
God setteth the solitary in families. He bringeth out those which are bound with chains.
Wait a minute. What did the Bible say, brother, that he do what?
Verse 6. God setteth the solitary in families. He bringeth out those which are bound.
He bringeth out those which are in slavery. He bringing out those which are bound. Read.
With chains.
With chains. Read.
But the rebellious dwell in a dry land.
The rebellious dwell in a dry land. They continue to sin and continue to be what? In a desolate land. A land that's not going to prosper anything, because that land is what? Is a representation of sin. Read that again, brother.
Psalms chapter 68, verse 6.
Read, brother.
God said the solitary.
He said it to solitary. What is solitary? It means confounded. It means that you are alone. It means you by yourself. You in solitary. You in a thinking mode. You in a mode where you don't have no choice. Read.
In families.
In what?
In families.
In families.
He bringeth out those which are bound with chains.
He bringeth out those that are in slavery. That means the slavery in your mind. That means you are in bondage. You are in chains. You have no liberty. Read.
But the rebellious dwell in a dry land.
See, you got the people that's gonna continue to be rebellious, stiff-necked, and hard-headed. Because what? They don't hear his voice. See, they are disobedient because they don't hear his voice, and now everything that's around them. Just like, remember that scripture when he was telling us about how he was going to make the rain dry? See? That means everything It's going to be dry. There's nothing that's going to be able to pacify you. No one is going to be able to help you do anything. Everything is going to be desolate. Why? Because you think you something. You think you know something, and you don't know anything. Read.
James chapter 1, verse 25.
Read.
But whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty.
See what I'm just saying? Who look into the perfect law of liberty? Read.
And continueth therein.
And continue in it.
He being not a forgetful hearer.
See, you can't be, when you hear his voice, you can't hear his voice and then go off and don't hear it anymore. You can't be a forgetful hearer, because if you are a forgetful hearer, you will forget what the instructions are telling you. Read.
But a doer of the work.
But a doer of what?
Of the work.
Of the work, practicing those righteous acts. Read.
This man shall be blessed in his deed.
Wait a minute. He shall be blessed what?
In his deed.
He's going to be blessed in the things that he do. Sister, read that scripture again for me, please.
James chapter 1, verse 25.
Read.
But whoso looketh into the perfect law.
The law of the Lord is perfect. The book of Psalms. Get that. Psalms 19 and 7. Read on, sister.
Of liberty.
Start that from the beginning, from the top.
But whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty. And continueth therein.
Read.
He being not a forgetful hearer.
Read, sister.
But a doer of the work.
But a doer of the works. You got to work, you got to do. Read.
This man shall be blessed in his deeds.
He's going to be blessed in the things that he do, because he's a doer. He does that work. Read what you got, brother, about this law, because this sister just said, but whosoever looketh into the perfect law of liberty. Read.
Psalms chapter 19, verse 7.
Read.
The law of the Lord is perfect.
Wait a minute. The Bible said the law of the Lord is what, brother?
Is perfect.
Read.
Converting the soul.
The conversion of the soul. Read.
The testimony of the Lord is sure, making the wise simple.
You see? See? But whosoever looketh into the perfect law, the laws, the statutes, and commandments, those are the perfect laws. Whosoever look into them shall what? Shall not be bound, shall not have and be in chains, but they will have what? The perfect liberty. What is liberty? Liberty is freedom. You see? You got to hear this word, and then you got work you got to do after you hear these words. And that work is practicing the righteous acts so you can go into the gates, into the city. That's what that's saying, Israel. Let's get it together. We only have a short time. Read.
John chapter 8, verse 31.
Read, brother.
Then said Yahushua
to
those Jews which believed on him.
See, what was people always going around hollering about? Well, the Jews didn't believe in him. None of the Jews. None of the Jews lied. It was only the scribes, the Pharisees, and the upper echelon people that didn't want to listen to him, because what? He had persuaded people to start hearing and believing in the gospel that he and the disciples were preaching. They didn't want them to do that. Start from the beginning again, brother.
Verse 31.
Read.
Then said Yahushua.
Wait a minute. What did the Bible say? Read that again. 8 and what?
8 and 31.
Read, brother.
Then said Yahushua to those Jews which believed on him.
He was only talking to the Jews that believed on him. He wasn't talking to everybody. He was only talking to the Jews that believed in him. Read.
If ye continue in my word.
If you continue in my word. If you continue to do this work. Read.
Then are ye my disciples indeed.
Now you my disciples. Now you qualified to go out there and exalt and start to lifting up and start to edifying other brothers and sisters. Right. You are able to do that now Because what? You doing what I'm telling you to do. Read 32, brother.
Verse 32, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
See, that's what's going to make you free. The truth. That righteousness is an everlasting righteousness. And thy law is the truth. That's what the Bible says. You see? Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness. And thy law is the truth. The law, statutes, and commandments. That's the truth, brothers and sisters. Nothing else. Read what you got, sister.
1 Peter chapter 2, verse 16.
Read.
As free and not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness, but as the servants of God, Yahweh.
Wait a minute. Read that one more time, sister.
1 Peter
Chapter 2,
verse 16.
verse 16. Read.
As free and not using your liberty
And not using your freedom.
for a cloak
Of
of maliciousness,
doing all kind of crazy stuff.
but as the servants of God.
But as a servant of God. Because when you keep the words, when you hear his voice and obey him, it qualifies you to be a servant for God. You see what I'm saying? But this is what's happening with people today. And I'm going to read this in the book of 2 Peter, chapter 3, and verse 16. Will you read that for me, sister?
2 Peter chapter 3, verse 16.
This is what's happening with a lot of people that can't break these scriptures down, that don't know what this Bible is actually saying. They're just guessing. But guessing will cause you to go to the lake of fire, because he says, study to show thyself approval. He said, don't believe in your words, but believe in my words. Read.
As also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood,
Read.
which they that are unlearned.
Wait a minute. They that are what?
Unlearned. And unstable.
What do they do?
Unstable rest. As they do also the other scriptures unto their own destruction. That's
what's going to happen to you if you don't get to start the studying and doing what you're supposed to do. Proverbs 3 and 5. Brother, get that for me. Proverbs 3 and 5. See, that's these things you got to do. You got to start obeying. You got to start to doing things that are right. You got to study this word and stop being a spectator and listening to someone regurgitate some things to you. Then you're going to go back out and you're going to say what they said without doing research and study. You're not going to ever learn that way. That's why I tell everybody, don't listen to me. You go and find it in the scripture and make sure that what I'm saying to you is correct, because I don't want anyone to go to the wrong way and to the lake of fire because of me telling them something wrong. Read what you got, brother.
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5.
Read.
Trust in the Lord with all thy heart.
Trust in the Lord with all thy heart.
And lean not unto thy own understanding.
And do what, brother?
And lean not unto thy own understanding.
And lean not unto thy own understanding. Read 6.
In all thy ways acknowledge him.
In all thy ways acknowledge him. Read.
And he shall direct thy path.
He shall do what?
And he shall direct thy path.
He shall direct your path, Israel. That's what you got to do. And this is the prophet Shem. This is INE. We're asking you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Israelites, not Equalites, deleting the lies and downloading the truth. And with that, we say shalom.